Greetings and salutation to Vikings. Welcome to Dune Awakening, an upcoming survival game set in the Dune era, aka Dune setting. Funcom was so kind as to send me over the 4K version of their latest trailer, or latest gameplay footage that they have showcased, and we're gonna look at it together for the first time. I'm very eager to see what they have been cooking, and as a big fan of Conan Exiles and long time player of it, I hope that we're getting a good IP, we're getting a good game, learn from all the steps that have done in Conan Exiles. If no further ado, let's hear what creative director Joel has to tell us and show us, and we're gonna have a look at it together, and I would like to hear and see what you think about it in the comments down below. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and with no further ado, let's hop on in.
First of all, this is a beta. It's beta footage, so you'll see bugs and you'll see things that need polish still. And secondly, our tutorialization is still a work in progress. With that said, let's get into it.
Since he says it's a survival MMO, I wonder if there's gonna be like one big server, or it will be again towards dedicated servers where people in communities can make their own thing. If we get our own thing, then again, the possibility of modding might be a thing, as it is in Conan Exiles, for example. They do very good stuff over there in the modding scene, and let's see. Ooh, this looks really good.
The start of the game, Dune Awakening, begins off-world on this large spaceship.
Show yourself, child.
It is here, in the presence of the Reverend Mother, the character creation begins.
That's clever. So I guess we're gonna get an mission from the, what do you call it again? The Ben Nasserati. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of it. So character creation. We see here body types: type 1, type 2. I guess male, female. Then all kinds of sliders. Reminds me already very much towards Conan Exiles. But let's see.
Now the first thing you'll do is choose your preset avatar.
Okay.
Some of these are heavily inspired by the Denis Villeneuve movies.
Oh.
Once you've chosen a base visual look, you can then move into the depths of character creation and make choices about how your character feels, both in terms of age, but also a plethora of physical attributes. Our goal in giving players access to a detailed character creator is to really allow them to create the avatar that lets them fulfill their fantasy.
What I'm curious here is why they didn't went for an slider, or for example, like I think Fallout has it where you can like drag the nose and the form and shape it with your own mouse and tools. But I guess it's a little bit easier to have at least some restriction in terms of not creating abominations.
Of living out their dreams on Arrakis. There are a
Okay. I would like to see a lot of more hairstyles, though.
multitude of hairstyles.
Well, not called as multitude. It's quite little, to be honest, but they look good.
And other things such as tattoos for players to choose from.
Oh, that's a nice half-face tattoo.
You can even choose different styles of lipstick and eyeshadow.
Okay. There's a lot of customization on that point. Metallic grenade. Not bad, not bad. Looks okay. Looks okay.
You can choose the muscle tone of your character, from height, arm thickness, leg thickness, neck length.
Thick. All the sliding to the right, to 9. Then it's...
Once you finish your character, you choose your name and enter the
They all had Vitiligo. That one has That one has my dog as well. He's very spotted and has like all kinds of spots on his body.
The avatar that you want to play in the game.
Have they told you
Well, then we
what
move
I
into the
am?
second phase of character creation.
Then I will sift your words for lies. Let's begin. Where were you born?
The second phase of character creation
A world of
is where
water.
you, as a person who may or may not know anything about Dune, get to make choices about who you were before the game starts.
Okay, so we have some choices that we can do here. Let's have a look at again. We can be an Giri Prime, Kuzuk, Kaladan, and Kaitan. This is the home worlds. Temperature Buds, Storm Racket, Ocean Worlds, and centric home of the House of Traded is known as relaxing agriculture life. Dialogue traits, we have honorable and unique emote is the Atreides Salute. Okay, I'm curious what kind of options this will bring in terms of dialogue traits. Will there be a lot of NPCs and storytelling that will we gonna be able to make use of that?
Second phase of character creation
A world
is
of
where
water.
you, as a person who may or may not know anything about Dune, get to make choices.
Okay, second one is Caladan, Na Familia, or Bondsman. Where we are rooted. Okay. Where's my place? The vast peasant labor force that drives the imperial engine. Pions are bound to the fief in which they live. Are bound to the fief in which they live and are considered the property of the Lord. Okay, so here we can choose what kind of status we have in the society.
About who you were before the game starts.
There we go. Na Familia is nobility, castes reserved for essential members of the noble household for retinue. Na Familia are afforded certain privileges and protections by their status.
Where you come from,
Bad advice.
what caste you belong
make a
to
bad
in the Dune
deal.
universe, and of
Be
course,
close to
perhaps
power
most
is to
importantly,
walk the
who your
knife's
mentor
edge.
was.
Our mentor. Oh, I see. So the mentor is more or less something like a class. The swordsman was our mentor, so we'll learn sword mastery, close quarter aggression. Our starting abilities: deflection, enter defensive stance to deflect, dart attacks even. Okay, interesting. Oh yeah, because there was not really, they don't really use guns a lot. They're more like using darts and whatnot.
Who was your mentor?
Then we have a Ben Gesserit. There we go. Ben Gesserit. That's the pronunciation of it. Some physical powers. Manipulation. Okay. We have also some voice powers to compel. Use the voice to force someone towards your position from afar. So you can lure somebody out of cover. So knowing that this will be PvE and PvP, I wonder if these abilities work towards other players as well. So you can like force another player to come out of cover. Might feel very powerful. I'm curious how the whole balancing will happen.
Your mentor determines your starting set of skills when you enter the
There we have the Mentat. Goes for recon strategy, scan nearby enemies, battlefield calculation. Okay.
game.
You must have been very young. The mind must be prepared or the training does not take. The test is almost complete.
Have you spoken the truth? I guess if we say I wish to resent or recant is that you just create your character again.
Have you spoken truth?
Nice little lore-wise intro.
Kneel.
Oof.
Put your hand in the box.
Do we get a needle to the neck?
I hold at your neck the Gomjabar, the high-handed enemy. Don't pull away or you will die. Great plots are afoot in the Imperium, and the currents of intrigue run deeply.
From the models here and the eyelashes and whatnot, it seems very close, a little bit better because it's on Engine 5 towards the models that the formed and shaped for Conan Exiles.
Arrakis is the key, and the Fremen are missing.
So good.
You will go to Arrakis as our agent, prisoner.
So, for those wondering, this is an alternative kind of storyline from what I understood. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But this is an alternative universe where the assassination attempt itself is not happening or did not happen on Atreides. And there's like a huge war going on over Arrakis, and the Fremen are apparently also dead. But yeah, I guess it's for us to find out what exactly is happening.
Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper. You will know when it is done.
Oh, this is... Oh. Nice. What a nice intro. What a nice intro.
Now, we're going to jump ahead a little bit in the story here.
Oh,
skipping past several events just to sort of get into the early new player experience of the game. And you'll see that the player, after various shenanigans, wakes up here in a cave. And as we sort of look around the cave, we'll notice that it's filled with Fremen.
Dead Fremen, from the looks of it. Okay, several events. So I guess you mean several cutscenes or moments, because this still feels like the start of the game.
The remnants of, this ancient culture.
Oh, look, little Betty. Man, Unreal Engine 5 is such a beautiful engine.
So now as the player takes their first steps in the world, they're really here amongst the dead. And so the first question they should be asking is, what happened here?
Okay, so we got compass and very low HUD. I like it. I don't like my HUD be cluttered. I want to enjoy the premise of the game, and only if I like getting damage or something, and it's getting important that my life bar, for example, pops up.
Who are these people?
Like an immersive HUD.
This is just a place where we give players a little bit of time to adjust their settings, get a feel for the movement keys, and then move forward into the cave.
Okay. I wonder if this is fully third person, or do we have the chance of a first person, and also switching the shoulder camera from one angle to another.
And they'll stumble upon their first major interaction point, which is the Frem Kit.
The Frem Kit?
The Frem Kit in our game serves as both a backpack for the player, of course, but also...
Sorry to interrupt you there, Joel. I hope we get a lot of these kind of like cinematic moments, and also in the terms of storytelling, like at the beginning and over here, after the game has started. I thought that Conan Exiles lacked that a little bit, in terms of like giving you some cinematic parts when stuff is happening, or when you do go into the dungeon, or when you manage to work on your bracelets to escape slavery and stuff like that. So I hope they leaned a little bit more into storytelling as well, because it's a wonderful, beautiful... I mean, it's not necessarily beautiful, but it's a very creative and fantastical world that I would like to explore to my fullest.
So really a guide.
Or experience to my fullest.
The Fremen used to pack these with interesting objects.
Okay, so we have crafting
to
system.
Survive in the desert, and it's no different from the player.
Scrap
so here they
knife.
begin their first crafting experience, crafting a small scrap knife.
Okay, it's a queue up there that we can put. What I'm curious is, can you craft while you walk around? That's what I'm curious about. Like, can you put like a queue in and then just keep going?
These caves have been moisture sealed.
Micro
in order to preserve the moisture of those within the cave. And so the player, as they explore, will be able to use the scrap
nice light effects
to pierce the seals and escape.
Very nice.
Really,
light
this
effects.
entire area, built using Unreal Engine 5, is just to sort of get the player and ease them into the path. A lot of survival games have very abrupt, very harsh beginnings, and we tried to, make the experience of joining Dune Awakening just a little easier, just give people a little bit of a feel for the world before we really toss them out into the harshness.
I mean, it's kind of like beginner friendly. I don't mind to like start fully in action and have like full on drama and stuff like happening. So they could have easily done, for example, I know your spacecraft gets shot down and you have to run around and have like some drama crashing down. But I know how the game begins after your creation of the character, or one of your are they called gyrocopters? Those kind of like insect-like helicopters. I forgot the terminology for that, but maybe we're gonna see it later in the video. Or that having a crash or something like that.
That is the desert of Arrakis. So here we've crafted a heal kit, and we're going to use that to heal our character.
HP on the left side.
Once we're healed, you'll see that our stamina bar in the bottom left appears.
Nice climbing. I guess they're gonna use the climbing system that they've invented for Funcom. For Conan.
And now that we have stamina, we can climb.
Also, what I noticed, that the healing kit is healing us over time and not instantly heal us. I kind of like that. especially for
The climbing
PvP.
system in Dune Awakening is based in part on the one that we built for Conan Exiles.
There we
It's
go.
a free-form climbing system. It can be used to climb almost anywhere. And as you'll see later, the new technology available in Dune Awakening, such as suspensor belts, allows us to do even more interesting things with traversal.
Suspensor belts. Classical plant fiber collection.
So once we've finished that first little section, we're jumping ahead. We're going straight into the harsh real world of Arrakis. And here are your first steps on Arrakis.
This looks
Your
good.
ornithopter
Even though it's just sand, it just looks good.
has crashed, and you've got to escape from the crash site.
Wait, what was it called again?
Jumping ahead, we're going straight into the harsh real world of Arrakis. And here are your first steps on Arrakis. Your ornithopter has
Ornithopter. There we go. That's the insect-like helicopter that they're using. We crashed, so worm?
crashed, and you've got to escape from the crash site immediately, because the sandworm always comes.
Yeah, this is massive.
And what you have to keep in mind is, these are the little ones.
What?
So these are the first sandworms you encounter in the game. There's bigger ones later on.
Oh my goodness.
The other thing that you have to pay attention to as a player is sunstroke and heat.
Okay, so we have that sun meter up there that builds up, and we had that kind of like wavy thing. I wonder if you could have that in a certain like repositioning thing where we could adjust the HUD on our terms in terms of options. So I would like to grab this here and move it up to the right side, for example. I don't like to have my point of view or my field of view cluttered with something. I mean, I guess it's important, so maybe have it like flashy up there in the corner to be like blinking at you when the heat stroke or heat meter is nearly filling up. Something like that. Like also this health bar, stamina bar situation here. Also would make that a little bit smaller and move it over into the corner to just have like a nice frame corner kind of thing, but the middle part to be clutter free.
So if you see in the top middle of the UI here, we've got this sunstroke bar building up.
Sunstroke,
the longer
okay.
you stay in the sunlight, the more chance you have of getting into the sunstroke state. And of course, our player here, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, has decided to stay in the sun and try harvesting water from plants.
Side
So he has
jab
become
on
sunstroked.
his player. Wow.
Sunstroke gives you a debuff. It means that your water goes down much faster than it normally
Okay.
would.
Yeah, we'll see
That
it on
means
the
you'll need
left.
to drink more often. So stick to the shadows, avoid the sun. It will eventually wear off if you stay in shade long enough.
Wow, but the water went down very fast.
So now that we've made our way out of the first part of the desert and we're heading deeper in, we're going to...
There we have it again. His steps are doing like little waves, sending little waves towards the worm. And I guess if you send enough waves or too much, you anger the worm.
start to harvest in the game world. So
Or draw the
harvesting
worm.
in a lot of these survival games is quite similar. In this case, we're picking up
Picking up?
items, but we're about
Okay.
to pull out what's known as the cut array. And what we do with the cut array is we analyze structures to find their weak points,
Oh,
and then we cut along those lines to break open the structures and gain
that's a cool
the
little
resources inside.
satisfying
This is
collecting.
like mining. We apply it both to rocks, we apply it to metals in the game world. And at the start of the game as a player, you'll just be scrounging around, picking up, finding structural weak points in rocks that you can harvest, breaking them apart, and taking those pieces with you. Now we've jumped ahead a little bit, and we see that the player is starting to be affected by the spice in the air.
Oh. What happens
And this
when we're
means
affected
that
by the
players
spice?
need to get somewhere safe, in shelter,
With spice
before
withdrawal
the
in
spice overwhelms
Sunstrike.
them and overwhelms their senses. And this is another large part of the game. We're not going to show too much of it today,
Shame.
but spice is a very important part.
I'm very curious what it does or
With the
how it
world
affects us.
broken apart by the War of Assassins, there are NPC bases scattered all over Arrakis. We're switching to a different character now, one who's slightly more advanced, and he's using his binoculars to
And slightly more pale. Wink.
mark an NPC outpost.
Let me know in the comments down below straight away if you know what house and what origin this character has.
Mark that. That marker will then appear on our compass. And you're able to approach them in any way you like. In this case,
Oh.
our character uses a Shigawire claw combined with a suspensor belt to get up to high ground and approach the enemy base from above.
That's
Kind of one of the
quite some
interesting things about Dune Awakening
maneuverability.
is just how you can combine the different abilities. And this is how traversal really
There's a
plays into
lot.
the game. Like, you end up being able to attack these bases from any angle that you'd like. Now, our player is going to craft the first gun in the game, known as a mauler pistol, which translates to, the basic kind of weapon in the game. As you may know, in Dune, bullets are not the preferred type of ammunition. Instead, it's darts, which are fired at a slower rate in order to try and attempt to pierce shields. Now, this early in the game, enemies don't really have shields, so the player is going to sneak into the base from above and use a combination of their early abilities. In this case, dropping out a grenade, then sneaking around the corner, and beginning to...
Wait, dropping grenades is just an ability, not something that you need to craft and have whatnot? Interesting. Please have gore in this game. If a grenade explodes under his leg, I would like to see the legs and arms and whatnot fly.
To get into NPCs head on.
Okay. Mixed feelings about this third-person action thing. Feels a little bit arcadey, I would say. So the hit impact, I would like to be a little more crunchier and heavier. And yeah, I would like to definitely see a little bit more gore happening.
Now, troopers are the basic shock troops of the universe, and their ability trees reflect that. Grenades, Shigarwire claws for moving around, and of course, they're able to take down people with headshots. You can see how suspensor belts really allow you to change your approach to combat.
Okay.
Dune Awakening is at heart a third-person shooter with
Okay.
melee and abilities.
Fair enough.
And it's the combination of melee, abilities, and range shooting that creates what we call combined arms in the game.
Combined arms. Interesting take in on that.
Now, we've taken a fair bit of damage in this battle, so we're going to stop for a second to heal ourselves up with a bandage. Bandages heal over time, so you can't just heal yourself to 100%. You have to actually get into safety, get behind cover before you start using them. Now we're going to quickly switch to a slightly different character
Okay.
to show off
Well, we're getting
more
to
of the
to see
melee
it.
that we have in the game. Because you're about to see that when a character gets in close, it's melee time. This character has Swordmaster abilities. First of all, the knee charge, which is about getting in close to do damage in combat. And then quickly setting up to a riposte, which allows you to parry and return massive amounts of damage to your enemy. Of course, later in the game, when enemies have shields, melee is a much more emphasized style of combat.
Looks good.
And you see that when a player is not really equipped to handle ranged characters, they have to fall back on their abilities to get in close.
Look at that knee kick in the face.
Now, we've switched again. Now we're going to switch to a set of Mentat abilities. One of these abilities is known as Battlefield Calculation.
Oh.
Using Battlefield Calculation,
So
the
that
Mentat
so there's kind of like brain virus going in there.
is able to calculate from anybody that they see what they're carrying and what they're wearing.
I don't like the sound of that.
Now we've dropped out our Hunter Seeker, and we're using our Hunter Seeker ability to take down enemies in the
Oh,
world.
that was a nice one. Okay, so we also see a group thing. I think we also see their speaking thing. So there will be voice or VoIP. Or at least we have this kind of like Wi-Fi symbol next to LXA. Could also show their ping. It's looking good. I wonder how many abilities one can...
Now obviously when you're
have.
playing with a friend, you want to combine your abilities and work together. In this case, the Mentat's able to point out to their friend where people are in the world and how much ammo and stuff they have. And you'll see that when enemies go down sometimes, they go into a down but not out state. It's up to you whether you execute them or continue to fight.
So the down state, does that mean that he can get back up? Or will they stay in the down state and then drop that if nobody comes
After a
and
quick
help them?
reload, it's back into the battle with our friend coming from above and throwing out one more grenade.
Oh, nice. So yeah, I would like to see the combat a little bit more gory. It feels at the moment very... It feels fluid, but it's kind of like stiff, the impact of the attacks. Except the knee kick in the face feels a little bit stiff. I think stiff is the word I'm looking for here.
And once you've defeated your enemies in battle,
Look at the design of the armor.
sometimes you just got to take their blood.
Their blood.
In order
Oh,
to
yeah.
get water, the player's going to have to craft themselves this blood sac and this blood extractor and use it to harvest blood from their fallen enemies.
Yep. To turn
Now,
into water.
in our game, it's not always a good thing to just take blood from people. It's potentially bad and can only be used for certain things. Once you've extracted the blood, you can then, of course, drink it, as you'll see here. The player takes a big sip from their blood bag. But when they do that, it causes a debuff, because the blood is not exactly pure, and drinking blood for water is not exactly a one-to-one scenario. So you'll see that our health bar got shorter while our water bar went up. And so being a blood drinker is not always looked upon in the right way.
Yeah. I see. There we go, player bases.
Of course, once you've played the game for a little while, you'll start wanting to build your own base. And the first part of that is placing down what we call a sub-fief console. A sub-fief console allows you to claim a small part of Arrakis as your own. But it does in turn mean that you'll start to owe taxes to the Emperor. So, here we are with our building.
Love that we have already like a nice turn place of the foundation
System. And you can see that we have two types of building here. We have the holograms, which show in the beginning. I call them Solido projections internally. And we have the way that you fill in, which is by holding down the mouse button in this case. So the cool thing about this is it allows us to have this cooperative building system.
Nice, so we can see what the other is doing and where he wants to place it. Finally.
So you'll see that one player places out the Solido projections, and the other player fills them in with the materials from their inventory. This is just a way that lets people play together and build together in an interesting and exciting way.
I agree.
We've seen through our experience with Conan Exiles that some people just love to build in these games. So we've created a system called the Blueprint Building System that allows players to save a copy of their base as one of these giant holographics. Then they can take them out into the world and place them out wherever they like, and then rebuild. And
oh
we
my
have
god,
another
it's
system
finally
in the game which allows you to take these, big architectural designs of your buildings and sell them to other players on the exchange. And once again, this is a way to quickly move your base around the world.
Wait, are we talking about in-game currency sell blueprints things, or are we talking about microtransaction shenanigans? I hope it's the first part.
Got a design you like, you don't have to, throw it out immediately. And it allows you to create these interesting masterpieces. It also, as you can see here, allows you to, if you're not artistically minded and you don't like building big bases, you can buy them from other players.
Okay.
Once you finish crafting a base, you want to fill it
really good
with all kinds of machines, fabricators, and refineries.
I see NPCs going around here. Do we gonna be able to hire them, or do we do the typical Conan Exiles and carry them to a wheel of pain?
And of course, harkening back to the blood extraction we just did, we've got the blood purifier. So what we want to do is take the blood from our blood sac and deposit it into the blood purifier, and over time it will refine into lovely fresh water, which can then extract into our litogens and carry with us out into the desert. While there's many varieties of fabricators that you can use to craft things in the game, one of the most exciting things is crafting yourself a vehicle. So we're opening the technology menu, and from here we're able to purchase the design for a sandbike. A sandbike is one of the early vehicles available to players in the game. And
it looks so
you can kit it out with different types of modules, including an extra seat, which allows you to bring your friends with you.
Wait, so we are you telling me that there we go, sandbike seats. Oh, are you telling me that we are going to place module by module and kind of like build together the bike in a way that we would like it to be?
So in this menu, you can see we're fabricating ourselves a sandbike. And all the different parts of the sandbike have to be fabricated individually. So the player is going into the menu here, they're crafting different things which will make up their sandbike. And as you can see, it prints out in this kind of 3D printer type way, where all the materials are turned into these particles which then come together to form the different pieces of the sandbike. And you can see it's sort of all happening in the background here. And if we go out into the world view, you can actually see the pieces forming up inside the fabricator. So a base with lots of these fabricators going is actually pretty cool and pretty busy. Once we've done, we jump back in, we pull things out of the queue, chuck them into our inventory, And then we use the welding tool to place out vehicle pieces. Now again,
Yes.
this is a cooperative activity. We've thought about multiplayer, so any other player could be working with you to place modules and pieces of this bike. And so we're going
Thank you, Funcom, for making multiplayer survival more fun. It's in the name.
to assemble this bike. But of course, when you work on larger vehicles and your friends are with you, you'll be able to work together to craft big things like transport ornithopters or sand crawlers. And so we're going to add the body to this, and we're going to add an extra seat just in case we want to bring our friend with us out into the world. Once the bike's been assembled and fueled up, you jump on and you can head out to explore the greater areas of
Oh,
Iraq.
look how the sand reacts. Whirlywinds were getting even.
Heading out into the world to explore can be a dangerous experience.
This reminds me of the meteor strike in Conan Exiles where something comes falling down from the sky.
And as you explore the universe, you'll find certain dynamic events will occur. In this case, the War of Assassins has claimed a new victim, a ship which falls from the sky, spilling its loot all over the sand. So we head out there to see what we can get, to harvest and gather as much as we can.
Why is it not parking in the shadow?
Of course, the problem is this is extremely visible to everybody in the nearby area. So people will be able to see this. And so in a PvP area, you might suddenly find yourself coming into competition with other players. In a PvE area, you might just find other people competing with you to get to the loot first.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And here comes my question again. Will this be one big server where everybody plays
And of
publicly
course,
on it?
at night time,
Or will we have dedicated servers where we can have like a community server going on and stuff like that? Nonetheless, we're going to make a server if there is such a thing. So links down below towards our Discord, etc. And if you want to be part of the Dune journey, hop on board.
there are different kinds of threats. Because while the heat of the day is dangerous, at night, the Sardaukar patrol this area of the desert with huge spotlights, searching for players. Now this player is over here, harvesting dew with a dew reaper, sucking the water off the surface of these
That looks
plants.
so cool.
And they've been captured and seen by the Sardaukar. And the Sardaukar send down troops who come floating down out of the sky to attack and destroy the players.
That looks a little bit stiff. I would like to see them be a little bit more less linear, but actually like drop down, scatter around, building up the defensive position or the aggression position over here, so that we as a player really have to struggle, because this is just shooting at like targets that are not walking around a lot. It's kind of generic a little bit, I would say, but then again, it's not the final version, so still a lot to develop there. But that's a point that I saw was in the combats between the other NPCs, that it feels still a little bit stiff, but we're far from there yet. So far from the full release of the game, and well, I hope to see this being improved in the future.
Now, of course, as mentioned,
There we see again the bar down here doing a lot of more noise and attraction towards the worm than his steps that he's doing.
traveling on the surface at any time risks drawing a sandworm. But there are certain things which we've created to draw players out of their comfort zones. So in this case, there's a special type of sand here on the surface, known as flower sand. Flower sand, according to the books, is the softest kind of sand, and players can use it to refine it into a variety of different materials that they need for crafting.
I see.
So
So,
you want to come out into the desert and you want to try and find flower sand.
so there's the way of hand collecting it or using a device.
But you have to be wary and pay attention, because as you
Look at
harvest,
that 32 flower sand, and
risk
he's like,
drawing the attention.
he was like
of
plus
sand.
2, plus 2, plus 2. There we go. Oh,
We've awoken the beast. The sandworm is coming. We spent too much time out here, and it's coming to get us.
but that looks like a small one.
Now you can
Still,
see in the middle of the screen the indicator showing
terrifying.
us that the sandworm is angry, and it's coming after us. And our only option now is to get back to rocky ground, or the sandworm's going to take us.
What? How?
I don't know how those guys survived that, but somehow they managed to get to the safety of
Dude,
the rock
I'm
bar.
getting goosebumps looking into this mile of teeth. Oh. This felt wrong on so many levels. Brr. Clear hubs.
Once you've crafted your first ornithopter, you'll be able to take to the air, and your entire perspective of the world shifts. From here, it'll make traversing the world a lot safer because you can avoid the sandworms. It'll also help you to go out into the larger world of Arrakis. Here we are in the overland map, and we're going to make our way south until we find the place known as Harko Village. Harko Village is the current seat of the Harkonnen.
So this feels like it's going into a big MMO-like vibe. Okay. I'm curious that all these areas, then maybe you can claim a little area for your guild or whatever.
After their city,
We'll see.
Carthag,
I guess
was
we'll see.
destroyed in a nuclear explosion during the War of Assassins. There's more details like that in the lore of the game for players to discover and explore. So we're going to land at Harko, and we're going to explore the social space.
I guess it's like a trading hub or
Once
something
you
like that.
arrive in Harko Village,
Just to get into the details over here. Oh, lovely. I love that kind of like Chinese inspired hats over there. Nice. Man, Unreal Engine 5 is so beautiful.
you'll be able to meet up with other players, interact with them, trade, and create guilds. The game has a variety of social interaction mechanics, from emotes to grouping to a chat. Throughout Harko Village, you'll also interact with story characters, follow the main story. You'll be able to meet vendors who will
Okay.
sell you exotic items.
They let you live. That
But
is
can you
interesting.
also join
You'll
the
be
big
able to get a
houses?
feel for how the factions are viewed in the world, and of course, you'll be able to swear allegiance to one of the major factions, the Harkonnen or the Atreides.
Type it in chat. Type it in comments right now below. Will you go House Harkonnen or House Atreides?
Swear your guild's allegiance and begin to take part in the politics of the Imperium. Once you've grouped up with friends,
Testing stations.
you should go out into the world and find desert Imperial testing stations. These are dungeon-like experiences,
Oh,
which you and your friends can work through together.
I'm curious here. Is the dungeon loaded and only for your group, or can a different group stumble over you, or can you stumble over a different group? Because as much as I like the idea, I think it destroys ultimately the feeling of the dungeon itself and working together with your friends and making it through there and beating the dungeon, and then another group comes in and takes the spoil of war, so to say. I don't know.
So here we are landing our various ornithopters outside of one of the desert testing stations
Didn't it just
we're
go
going to
all
head
into
in.
one?
as a group. Now it's really important to prepare different skills and abilities. These areas tend to be more of a challenge, and it's great to work together.
Skill tree, yes. Okay. This is a mentat. So we have the shield wall ability over here. Deploy a dart-proof energy field generated by the Holtzman effect. That's cool. That's cool.
To complement each other. So this is the skill tree. Here you can equip different types of abilities and techniques.
3 abilities, okay.
You have 3 slots for abilities
Okay.
and 3 slots for techniques.
Oh, okay, so
And
it's
there
6
are multiple different trees depending on the type of trainers that you've interacted with in the world. So our character here is going to equip a series of abilities that complements the rest of their group. In this case, Swordmaster techniques. Alright, so we're heading in, and of course you can use suspensor belts to traverse, as you'd expect. And we're going to explore this Imperial testing lab.
Oh, nice. I would loot everything.
Desert Botanical Testing Station number 163. I'm Dr. Wen Olmeca, senior plant geneticist here at the station.
Testing stations have storylines, as well as enemies to fight and loot to be found. So you really want to go in here and enjoy the experience. Playing through with friends, working together, using different
Flamethrower.
weapons and trying out different techniques.
Oh, the kneecap.
Now this player has placed out a portable cover. This is a different ability to what we've seen before. And you see that the enemies here have shields. Using the flamethrower, it's easy to get through a shield because you can burn the air around them.
Nice.
And of course our characters are a little...
I love to have a I think train is the good word over there. To go in their very military style and have like a nice squad movements instead of like running left and right like uncontrolled wobbly wobblies. Dreams. Maybe there's some nerds around you out there that would be down for such a thing, to have like an kind of like strict approach of team tactics.
higher level than they were in the start of this video. So you're able to see that, yeah, we can take people down a little more easily. And of course, when you get to the end of these areas, you find these really cool loot chests. And in these loot chests, you find specialized components that are used for crafting exotic weapons and items.
Interesting.
The end game of Dune Awakening takes place in the deep desert.
Of course.
Giant spice blows will happen, drawing players from all around to try and harvest the spice as quickly as possible. You want to get
Look at that smooth drop of the harvester.
there first, and you want to try and take as much spice as you can before an enemy guild shows up to try and take it away from you. Now, of course, if you're clever and you start to lose the battle, you might place out a thumper, and that limits the time in which people are able to take spice, because then the big worm is going to show up.
The other one was a small worm. How big is the big...
I hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse at the gameplay of Dune Awakening, and we're really excited to have you join us when the game releases.
I'm so down for it. Dear viewers, if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be playing Dune Awakening like there's no tomorrow when it comes out in 2025. And I'll throw out an open invitation. Hop into our community Discords and be part of it. Stay tuned, and we're gonna definitely play the living crap out of this. So if you are into immersive gameplay, role playing, and have a decent mic, please hop on board. Or if you're a creator yourself, hop on board as well. Let's build something cool and unique together, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.